Storytime chat as I tell you how I got sucked into a cult culture and why I left. So I grew up in a very normal early like 2000s evangelical home, so like very, you know, like youth group oriented. Just the culture of like the mid 2000s evangelical culture was very into like non-denominational churches. So, you know, the lights, the smoke show, it's dark, it looks like a club. Fast forward to COVID and I discovered Reformed theology, which I loved because it seemed more robust Christianity instead of just like the surface level Christianity that I was so used to, like the feel-good Christianity. This had depth to it and like tradition to it. This time I also ended up meeting my husband, got engaged, we planned to get married, and like everyone who gets engaged and plans to get married does, they want to be a good wife. COVID also offered the rise of Moscow and Canon Press when people like Doug Wilson, and you have people from like Ogden and Joel Webbin and the whole lot of people like that who really became popular during this time as like online personalities and pastors. So I just ate this type of content up because I've already discovered Reformed theology and Calvinism, and I was really psyched to put rubber where it meets the road, especially in practical life. You know, their slogan, all of Christ for all of life. Consumed so many books. I consumed books outside of Canon Press, like a lot of like Lori Alexander's Transformed Wife stuff. Yeah. I consumed like Debbie Pearl content of Created to be a Helpmeet. I don't recommend those. They're very toxic. It became my world for like the next 5 years of my life. With this type of theology, like the Dominionist, Reconstructionist, post-millennial theology, you tend to become very arrogant and very prideful in your own stances, even going so far as making convictions more so standards for other people, and that obviously gets into like legalism. In my pursuit to be the best wife and then later mother that I could be, again, I became very prideful, very arrogant, posted a lot of garbage on the internet, and I'll own that straight up. I have since repented of that, and I don't plan on making any type of more biblical womanhood content. And if we're really being honest, I think a lot of biblical womanhood content stems from insecurities and their own projections that then get posted as gospel truth or being a biblical wife / mother. In my experience, there is just such a lack of grace for anybody who is outside of their own belief systems. And ironically, if you end up leaving these groups, you're considered apostate, even though you're not apostate. Think of you as basically deconstructing. Fast forward to this year, I had a very rough first trimester, and it actually led me to very much coinciding with asking the hard questions of like, why do I feel like I am a failure as a wife because I physically am not able to take care of the home right now? Really looking at the belief system that I bought into for a while under a magnifying glass. And then I saw how culty these circles can be because I have different opinions when it comes to child rearing than the majority of evangelical Christians, and that was a major problem amongst people in our real life, to the point that they were very incessant about it. It became a problem that I had to set a boundary that people did not like, and it caused a huge falling out. In a way that almost clarified more my position that like if you disagree with anybody in these circles, even on minor issues that don't pertain to other people, then they get their panties a bunch and you are deemed on the outs. My husband was never into a lot of the stuff that I was into. I kind of projected it onto him, and I think a lot of people think, oh well, if you're like pro patriarchy, then like your husband is the one doing or putting that on you. But often I think it's a lot of the women, because they view it as being biblical, and then they put this unnecessary pressure on their own husbands to be a certain way because that's what the church teaches. I came to my husband and I said, hey, here are my issues with this. He was relieved. He was relieved that I was like learning and noticing some red flags that he's noticed all along. But like, I'm also somebody you can't tell anything to, so I'm just gonna have to go through the hard life experience. In the conversations that we have had, my husband has said that he's missed this version of me who is fun and easygoing and not so like rigid and uptight all the time, worrying about every little thing. So I'm thankful in the life lessons that I've learned since having to go through all this crap with people online, in real life, etc. Not only is my marriage better, but my relationship with God is the best it's ever been. If you follow any of these types of folks, just to be very cautious with what you listen to, what you absorb, and what you take from them, because it can and will become a heavy burden.